Alrighty guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Lucatrades here with another trade recap. Just going to go over a trade that I actually hit. I believe this was on Monday morning, New York session. So that's why I'm in the replay mode, because I'm just gonna, I'm doing this video a few days later because I'm just starting to make some content, some YouTube content that can not only help myself but hopefully help some of you guys, just explaining how I find my trades, how I trade, and just letting you guys know the confluences and the strategy that I use. I am currently trading on a My Funded Futures funded account. So it's also a bit of a road to profitability type of trade and getting a payout. So with that being said, I want to hear in the comments, all of you guys, how you trade, if you trade similar to this, if you would have taken the trade that I've taken today. And, I'd like to just have, just healthy debates in the comments and, understanding what you guys would have done different. But with that being said, let's get into the recap and go through basically what I did to take this trade. So firstly, obviously what I always do is I mark out my major draws on liquidity. So I took this trade on Nasdaq, on the NQ, on the micro, and so the two pairs that I'm always looking at is Nasdaq and ES. So got them both up, and I draw out my liquidity. So as you can see here, I've got the low liquidity in the red here, and I've got this opening gap for when the new week opened with such a big gap. I've got that drawn out as well as a lower liquidity, sorry. And for the high liquidity on ES, I have these London highs, which are almost equal with the with another liquidity. Cut that bit. And then we've got here a Asian highs and then all-time highs. On NQ though, when market opened, we actually were sitting here and we just had these all-time highs. So you can disregard this red line here. I will explain that a little bit more in depth why that's there shortly. So that's me marking out all of the liquidity. Then I obviously jumped to an hour just to help me with my bias. We're in this gap here, hourly gap, which we have respected and broke structure above here. On the ES as well, we did enter the gap. Respected, but we did come back down, but we haven't closed down, so we're still technically respecting the bullish gap on both pairs. So I was bullish for the day. So what I do once that's all set up, I go into the 5-minute candle. I'm basically always trading off the 5 and the 1 minute, and I wait for market open. Market opens, we come down here on NQ, but it's only really 5-minute lows that it just targets here. But if you actually come into ES, you can see that on market open, it comes and takes a significant hourly low, being the session lows of London. Off that, we then see it come up, break this 5-minute gap, so break structure up. We have it coming back down into equilibrium, and then we have it breaking structure once more off that. So we can see hits liquidity, breaks structure by inversing this fair value gap, comes back down into equilibrium, and then it breaks structure when it closes above this recent high, which it does here on this 5-minute. Having a look on ES, obviously it never took out London lows, but because we did this is NQ, because it never took out London lows, it's okay. Because ES did, it created a bullish SMT divergence. So all we needed here was this 5-minute to break structure, which it did. Then I wanted it to retrace into a 5-minute retracement, which it did here. We've got a 5-minute gap. We see this red candle wicks into it. Next, it breaks out. You could technically take the trade just off this, but I personally want a little bit more confirmation. This is when I drop down into a 1 minute time frame. And as you can see, I've marked out a point of 1 minute fair value gap and also equilibrium. Neither of them did get hit, but it was okay because if you come back onto ES at a similar time, so we'll have a look here, 9:54. At 9:54, we created a gap, which we didn't respect, but however, we broke the 1 minute gap that was on the downside. So we actually broke structure on ES on the 1 minute. So then I came back here and then we broke structure on the 1 minute on NQ as well. Once we closed above this recent high, that was enough for me to take the trade. I took the trade off that. So on this candle here, so on the next candle that started, I took this trade. Now we were trading at all-time highs. So when trading at all-time highs, it is a bit difficult setting your take profits. So what I generally do is I take the last big move up to where I was. So it's here to here. And then I basically, and then I basically move it to the start where I entered, and that's where I would target. There's so many different ways. A lot of people use the fib tool. Some people just hold and they wait for the other pair because obviously ES still had these highs to take. They wait for a significant high on ES to be taken, and then they just either wait for it to look like it's retracing, then they get out. Honestly, I think at all-time highs, there's no real right or wrong. As long as you're, actively watching and, using the right risk management, I think it's okay. So what I did is I marked that out. That was these, and I put it there. And directly in the middle is where I put my take profit. So it was somewhere around here. I took my take profit. And then once I took that take profit, I raised my stop loss to where this red line is. That's why this red line is here, because as you can see, there's a 1 minute gap. If we inverse that gap to the downside, to me, that's an indication that we are going to continue lower, and I don't want to be losing more profits. I did that, it ended up coming down, it inversed the gap, took my stop loss out. So I ended up making around $800 on the funded account on this. So it was about $500 here, and then another $300 was the stop loss. I took 10 contracts. I used 10 contracts on this trade, and then I took 5 out here, 5 out when I was here, and then the remaining 5 when it came back on the stop loss. And as you can see, we did continue down and reverse. So that was a solid trade in my opinion. Setting my stop loss. I set my stop loss here under the recent 1 minute fair value gap and the equilibrium, because I believe that if we, after this, moving up, started coming down and inverse this gap, to me that is an indication that we would continue to go down. You could arguably put it into this 5 minute gap with this 1 minute liquidity here, but ultimately I believe that if we're inversing this and going down, we're just going to continue down. So that was why I had my stop loss like that, and that was a 4-to-2 ratio. So that's a pretty good RR. Yeah, so it was a solid trade. I was happy with this one. Basically, that was all the confluences I used to take it. It was fairly clean. They're not always this clean, I feel like, with the trades. But that's basically what I do to take my trades daily. That's how I mark out my liquidity. If you're a bit confused about what all these dotted lines are, I've just created this myself. Just it shows all the pre-open, New York Open, Asian, London. So That's just, just helps me with understanding the times, because I am trading from Australia, so it's obviously a lot different, the times for me. So with New York Open actually being at 9:30 EST, it's actually at currently with Australian Eastern Standard Time, it is 11:30 p.m. at night. So that's why this just helps me with marking out everything on the charts and staying on top of things. But basically, that was the trade I took. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you've taken this trade, if you did, if you took this trade, if you would have taken this trade, um, what you would have done differently. I want to know all about it. I want you guys to tell me everything in the comments. I want to hear your feedback, what you would have done different, or if this was a great trade for you to take as well. I'd love to have some healthy discussion with you guys, hear all about it. So, I would also really appreciate a subscribe and a like and a comment. It would be, much appreciated, as I'm going to start making these type of content and videos on this, road to profitability with these accounts, and hopefully help you guys as much as you guys helping me. We're all in this day trading community together. We're all doing this to, escape that 9 to 5 life, that life of having a boss, that financial freedom, that, location freedom, being able to do this anywhere in the world. It's an amazing tool that we have, and it's an amazing thing that we can do. So, using each other and really helping each other actually get there is just an amazing thing. And if I can use this platform to, encourage a lot of other people to start doing the same thing, it would be awesome. But yeah, until then, until my next trade, that's all from me. So peace.